Koti Vaishnavinda.
Jai.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatam Itam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Pariraga Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaivascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
What is the title of the chapter?
The opulence of the absolute.
The opulence of the absolute. Right? So we've been discussing this 10th chapter. It's a very beautiful chapter. And in the 7th verse, Krishna said, unless one is factually convinced of this opulence, one cannot engage in pure bhakti. So these opulences are very important for us to understand, because when we become factually convinced in the opulence of Krishna, then one naturally, logically, engages in pure devotional service. Because one understands that everything that is pleasurable in the entire of creation resides within Krishna. So why one would search for water in a desert when there was water available in the great sea like that? The opulences that Krishna possesses are so profound and so beautiful and wonderful that one experiences pure bliss and happiness in relationship with Krishna. So, but until one is factually convinced of it, will search for opulences elsewhere, when in reality, everything that we are finding anyways elsewhere is none other than one of Krishna's energies. So everything that we are interacting with is either directly Krishna or indirectly through his energies. So this factual convincing is what's important for us. And Krishna discussed these Chatur Shloki verses. And in these verses, he showed that he is the source of everything, animate and inanimate, spiritual and material. He is the source of the spiritual and material worlds. And those who know that do one thing: they engage in devotional service. And how Krishna reciprocates with his devotee, he spoke, that he shows special mercy by giving them the knowledge by which they can understand this great opulences of Krishna, understand Krishna himself. It is only our lack of knowledge that leads us astray. With knowledge, there's only one factual conclusion. That is to lovingly enjoy with Krishna. So Krishna himself gives that knowledge, and that is the utmost mercy. He destroys our ignorance, right? When we take to his service. And when one engages in his service, then one finds this bliss and happiness, this great satisfaction. To Shanti and Ramanti, he said. Right? So this great satisfaction. So it happens by knowing Krishna is the source of everything. He is our eternal Father. And he is the source of all of our relationships that we desire. He is the ultimate. And it is only by Krishna's mercy that we can know him. He destroys our ignorance, gives us the knowledge. Dadami buddhi yogam tam, he said. Dadami, I'm giving buddhi, by which we can know. And the result, bliss and satisfaction. So that is what he spoke. So Arjuna, in the last two verses we discussed, established Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, the ultimate abode, and established him as that. Right? So now we'll read the 14th verse, and we'll read the next few verses because they're all Arjuna continuing to speak. He has not spoken since the 8th chapter, beginning of the 8th chapter. So Krishna has been explaining various topics in great detail with great enthusiasm. So now Arjuna speaks again in the 14th verse. So someone can read the verse and we'll read the purport.
Sarvam etam ratan manye yanmam vadasi kesava nahi te bhagwan vyapyam vidur deva na danavada. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Purport. Arjuna herein confirms that persons of faithless and demonic nature cannot understand Krishna. He is not known even by the demigods, so what to speak of the so-called scholars of this modern world? By the grace of the Supreme Lord, Arjuna has understood that the supreme truth is Krishna and that he is the perfect one. One should therefore follow the path of Krishna, of Arjuna. He received the authority of Bhagavad Gita. As described in the 4th chapter, the parampara system of disciplic succession for the understanding of Bhagavad Gita was lost, and therefore Krishna re-established that disciplic succession with Arjuna because he considered Arjuna his intimate friend and great devotee. Therefore, as stated in our introduction to Gita-Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita should be understood in the parampara system. When the parampara system was lost, Arjuna was selected to rejuvenate it. The acceptance by Arjuna of all that Krishna says should be emulated. Then we can understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita, and then only can we understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay.
Whoops.
That's it. Short purport today, but lots of substance as always. So the verse again, Arjuna is saying, O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. So this is an interesting statement, right? Because Arjuna on the one hand is saying, I accept as truth everything you have told me. So as Prabhupada says, Arjuna has understood the supreme truth is Krishna and that he is the perfect one. So Arjuna has understood it. But then he says, neither the demigods nor the demons can understand you. So that seems like a contradiction, right? So what is the point that Arjuna is making? And Prabhupada is very importantly emphasizing in this purport. Because it sounds like a contradiction.
It isn't a contradiction.
Okay?
I mean, because Krishna has himself recited the Bhagavad Gita, handed off, which was apparently not to the Devas and Asuras. And that's the reason why he says, now that you have handed it off to me directly, I am much better off compared to them who didn't receive it from you.
Okay. So it's not a contradiction. But how did Arjuna understand Krishna?
Because Krishna's mercy directly to him.
Krishna's mercy directly to him. So does that mean we're in trouble?
Parampara system.
Yes. How is Krishna supposed to be understood?
It says in the purport that Krishna considers Arjuna his intimate friend and a great devotee. So maybe that is how the message was passed to him, because like the demigod and the Asuras, we're not probably best friends with Krishna.
Okay.
Or such an
They're
intimate
intimate.
relationship and stuff,
Okay.
but maybe because of their relationship is why
Because of the
Arjuna can
relationship?
understand who Krishna is,
Okay.
or has been given that knowledge.
Okay.
Simple, the Parampara system, he mentions it several times in the purport. That's how you understand.
That is the only way to understand Krishna. That is the only way to understand. You cannot say Krishna in full, because he is unlimited and we are very limited. But to know anything about Krishna, it can only come from Krishna through parampara. So don't think that Arjuna had a circumstance that we don't have. Oh, Arjuna could hear from Krishna on the battlefield. No. If we think that we have a lesser opportunity, we don't understand parampara. Because Krishna himself is establishing parampara. How do we know that? How do we know that Krishna is establishing this parampara?
Because when it's broken, he comes down and reestablishes.
Because when it's broken, it's reestablished. Dharma samstha panarthaya. In the 4th chapter, Krishna says, I come to deliver the pious, destroy the miscreants, and reestablish the principles of religion. Whenever the parampara is broken, he reestablishes it. So the message of Krishna coming through parampara is non-different from hearing directly from Krishna. But we may perceive differences. But actually, that is due to our lack of knowledge, understanding of this Guru Parampara. This is how powerful and potent Guru Parampara is. That they can carry this message in full. But there is no other way to understand Krishna. Even Lord Brahma himself, the creator, how he understood Krishna. How did he understand Krishna? By his own analysis? By his observations? By his theories? How did he understand who is Krishna? In Srimad Bhagavatam it's explained.
Didn't need to steal the camera voice.
Oh, that's another pastime.
Okay.
Krishna gives him
Krishna comes
the knowledge.
and gives him the knowledge through the flute. In the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, right? Tene Brahma Hridaya. He gave Brahma the knowledge into his heart. By playing the flute, all the Vedic knowledge entered into it. So it comes, even Lord Brahma himself must hear it through parampara. Right? So what to speak of us? So Arjuna is saying that I have understood it because I'm hearing from parampara. But the demigods nor demons, they cannot understand your personality unless they understand through Guru Parampara. So this is the means. And what is Guru Parampara going to guide us? How to know Krishna? By bhakti. By devotional service. They'll not say, by doing some intense austerity you can know Krishna. By taking bath in some river you can know Krishna. No. Because Krishna says, Bhakti Mam Vijanati. He says, I am known by devotional service. So yes, the relationship is what leads to it, but how we know to develop the relationship with Krishna. That is a message from Parampara. And by the practice of bhakti, one can know Krishna. Arjuna uses a word for Krishna in this verse. In the verse, anybody noted what he calls Krishna? By what name he refers to Krishna? Keshava. So this is a very important. Arjuna throughout Bhagavad Gita always refers to Krishna by different names for a particular purpose. So Srila Baladev Vidabhushan comments that Keshava here, Keshava has a couple of meanings. But one of the meanings is that K refers to Lord Brahma. Sha refers to Lord Shiva. And Va means not Vishnu. Va means that Krishna binds Brahma and Lord Shiva with his knowledge. So the point is that Arjuna is making the point that even Brahma and Lord Shiva are not understanding Krishna without the knowledge coming from Krishna. So what to speak then of us? So Prabhupada says, our scholarly study is not going to yield any realization of this knowledge. It must come from parampara. So Arjuna is very precisely establishing the means to understand. Because Krishna has said this is the means, and now Arjuna has said. And Arjuna makes a very important statement here. What's the opening statement of this verse?
Persons of faithless and demoniac nature cannot understand.
No. The first statement of the verse, sorry.
All the truth.
Complete submission.
Complete submission. He says, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. This is the mood we are trying to bring about in our life. We are trying to follow in the mood of Arjuna. Krishna is speaking to Arjuna out of his deep love and compassion for him, trying to inspire him to take to a path that will give him happiness and peace. Right? Arjuna was in distress, didn't want to fight, was confused. And so Krishna has been speaking for the betterment of Arjuna, not for the betterment of himself. When Krishna says, I am the source of everything, he is not trying to make himself feel good by establishing his opulences. No. He is trying to situate Arjuna in unalloyed bhakti, because that is the only means of happiness. So Arjuna is showing us the perfect mood of how we should try to receive this knowledge. He says, I totally accept. And then he says one other thing. One other qualifier. I totally accept and
Acknowledge. Accept as truth.
Accept as truth. What?
You told me.
You told me.
Or everything
told
you
me.
told me.
Everything. All. Meaning we don't pick and choose. I like this, I don't like that.
Yeah. That's so big.
Right? Right? When you pick and choose, like at a buffet. I like that, I don't want this. No, Arjuna is saying, because everything Krishna is telling is absolute. It's perfect. And it's instructive and helpful for us. Right? There's a very sweet mood Arjuna is showing in this verse. That it's impossible to know Krishna on our own. So it is not a contradiction. But it is only possible by parampara. And this knowledge should be accepted as true. There is no need to independently verify, trying to prove on our own volition. We should accept it as truth because it's coming from the perfect source. If someone walking down the street says tomorrow is going to rain, are you going to accept that as absolute truth? What's this qualification to speak? Does he know or she know? Even if they're a skilled weatherman, are you going to say it's absolutely true? No. Because that person doesn't have the potency to speak. But when Krishna speaks, what else we need to do? He has perfect knowledge and he has perfect love for all of us. So every instruction he gives is perfect. He has unending love for us and he has unending knowledge. He is the source of everything. Right? So, but what blocks our ability to take Arjuna's position? Why don't we?
Knowledge, ignorance.
Ahankara.
The ego, our hankar. Our ego. Our false ego. I know. Right? It takes a surrendered, submissive mood. But this is what we can try to imbue when we read like this, verses like this. When we read Arjuna's statements in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, they're so beautiful because he exhibits the mood that we are trying to develop within us. Okay? So, key point, only way to know Krishna, parampara, even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva understand Krishna through parampara. And parampara engages one in the practice of bhakti, unalloyed devotional service, as Krishna was trying to engage. And there is no difference in the message. This is the potency of parampara. Yes?
Sorry, this question. So, demigods are not in the, like, they learn from the parampara, but they're not in the parampara. Or,
Yes. They learn, they
They
hear
learn
through,
from-
if they choose to.
yeah, okay.
If they choose to. Right? Because a pure devotee of the Lord, a bona fide spiritual master, can transmit this knowledge. So one must be at that platform in order to be the transmitter of this knowledge. Lord Brahma started the Brahma Sampradaya. Lord Shiva established the Rudra Sampradaya. These are bona fide Vaishnava Sampradayas. Right? Yes?
Maybe a follow-up question is, the devtas or demigods, so I guess they do or they don't have spiritual merit. I mean, how, like, one becomes a demigod through spiritual merit or just like through austerities and things like that?
So we can speak in generalities. We cannot speak about specific demigods because everyone's mood in that service can be slightly different. But in generality, the demigod, first of all, it is a post, right? It's a position, like president of the country or mayor of a city or governor of a state. It's a post that is occupied by different people. For some time, somebody occupies it. After another time, so like the post of Lord Indra is occupied by different jiva tattvas. Okay? And this is all explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. So these are different posts, positions. Now those positions are of service. Right? They are of service, orchestrating the affairs of the material universe. Lord Brahma is performing a service. of creation. Service for who? Krishna. Lord Indra is performing a service. Agni Dev, Vayu, all the demigods are performing a service. Now the motive of their service is individual. Some of their motive may or may not be, but in the most generality sense, the motive is mixed with some desires, right? To enjoy the heavenly opulences and pleasures. So we cannot say it is in a mood of purity, where there is anyabilashita shunyam, no desires. Right? So that service is a very great service. I can consider him to be a great devotee of the Lord. But we cannot understand whether it is in the mood of pure ananya bhakti, which is far beyond. So the positions of the devatas are achieved not by devotional service to Krishna. They are achieved by performing various punyas, various pious activities, which can elevate one to this post. So it is not to be just and that's why Krishna has spoken so directly and precisely about the worship of demigods. Right? Because he said, Krishna said, one who worships a demigod has had their intelligence stolen. Why are you speaking that way? Because it means one is worshipping not knowing who is the ultimate source. One is being tempted by material boons. If a child goes to a very rich person who's giving out millions of dollars and asks for a few grains of rice, we'll say he's not very intelligent. So Krishna says, one who's going to demigods for temporary boons and very limited things has had the Ritya Gyan, their Gyan has been stolen. Right? So, got into a little bit of a tangent, but that's the understanding. So they're nice devotees serving Krishna, but not all necessarily in the mood of pure bhakti, meaning wanting to serve the Lord. Yes, and then back to you.
Sorry, maybe a follow-up. Then, do they have the opportunity to develop?
They can if they are not disturbed by their opulences. So again, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a passage where the demigods, seeing Krishna, they desire to come back to the material world. Why? Because they will not be disturbed by the opulences. In the midst of opulences, it's hard to surrender to Krishna. So they wish to become free from them. Right? And they become bewildered by their opulences. Thus, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. Right? That's one pastime. But then, if you read, we always read the pastimes of Lord Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill. But we should read the very next chapter, which are Lord Indra's prayers to Krishna. They're very beautiful prayers. Right?
Yeah.
Very beautiful prayers.
Well, my question was very similar to Mataji's. I've also heard when Srila Prabhupada said that the devtas or the demigods are lining up to come here in Kali Yuga. So I was like, is that because of Yuga Dharma? But you're explaining that it's actually because the distraction of opulence that they can take full advantage that we take granted for.
Those who have knowledge, who see, wow, this bhakti is far superior. Bhakti is far superior of a service. Otherwise, Krishna would have told his best friend Arjuna to do that. Remember, Krishna is only going to give the best of instructions because he's his best friend. When our friend is in need, we give the best we have to them. We don't hold back. So Krishna, when Arjuna is approaching, he's giving him the best of instruction. And what's his instruction? Sarva dharmam parityaja, mamekam sharanam vraja. He says you abandon all varieties of religion. All of them. Sarva dharma. Mamekam. Only unto me you surrender. He didn't say and to me and to six other, and he said only unto me. Do not fear. I will deliver you. That's his instruction to his friend. And it is up to us whether we are going to follow him. That is our free will. Arjuna at the end of Bhagavad Gita says, Karishe vachanam tava. I am now prepared to follow.
Another question.
Yes.
So, so what do you say to some people, especially a lot of Indian people who, they may take to Krishna consciousness, but they still perform worship of their Mataji or, whatever their family deity or whatever it is. I mean, how do you convince them, or how do you preach to them?
It's a matter of convincing that Krishna says, Bhoktaram yagna tapasam. 5th chapter, 29th verse. Sarva loka maheshwara. He says, I am the beneficiary of all yagya. All yagya. He is Yageshwara. He is the recipient of all yagya. Krishna in the 7th chapter speaks about indirect worship. Those who worship demigods are indirectly worshipping me alone. He says in the 9th chapter, don't be tempted by these material boons. So he speaks about it very clearly. Now, there may be some emotional attachment to it, and one can perform that, but it should be in consciousness that this is intended for Krishna. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the 2nd chapter, he establishes very clearly, one has no other duty to perform once one has come to Krishna consciousness. Most people, if you ask why, it is out of fear of upsetting somebody. Right? That is it. Well, I don't want to have so-and-so upset with me. It's out of fear. Right? It's natural. It's not a bad sentiment, but it's uninformed. An informed sentiment is, Krishna has said, when you water the root of the tree, all the branches are nourished. So I don't have to independently nourish each branch of the tree. I can just water the root. Who is the root? Krishna. He's going to establish that in the 15th chapter. He is the root. So, by serving Krishna, I'm automatically serving all the other devatas to their full satisfaction. So, it is not a matter of I'm not going to serve them. No, you're already serving them by serving Krishna. So we just have to explain. And that's it. Now it's up to them. Arjuna said, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. So the facts are there. Now based on where they are, you have to give the dosage appropriately. You can't overload. I gave you everything unvarnished. Now you have to pick and choose. How much can be digested? Right? What is the palatable amount?
Right.
But the truth is the truth. Krishna has established it clearly. And it is for our benefit. But the root of the tree is very clear. You don't, when a mango tree is there and you see all the mangoes, you don't nourish each individual mango. You water the root. Right? But don't think by watering the root you are not nourishing all the branches. You are satisfying all of the devatas. We have a debt to them. Because of their facilities they're arranging, our existence is here. So we owe them a reciprocation, for sure. But the best means to satisfy that obligation, that debt, is to serve Krishna. As Bhoktaram yagna tapasam. Sarva loka maheshwaram. Surdam sarvam bhutanam. Then one finds peace. Otherwise you're always agitated. Oh, I'll be upset here. I missed this one. There'll be no peace. Just chant. And that's why Krishna's concluding instructions. Manmana bhava mad bhakto. Just think of me. Become my devotee. It's okay? Okay, so 15, Arjuna says, indeed, you alone by yourself, by your own potency, O Supreme Person, O Origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe. So, Arjuna now is calling Krishna Purushottama. He says, you are the Supreme Person.
You are Bhuta Bhavana. You are the origin of all. You are Bhutesha, the Lord of all beings. Right? You are Deva Deva, the Lord of all demigods. You are Jagatpate, the Lord of the entire universe. So what is he not? Right? Arjuna is very cleverly establishing, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency. Right? So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that the Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service. So Nitya Krishna read one verse ahead. See? But how to know about devotional service is from Parampara. Otherwise we have no choice. But the means to know Krishna is through the process of devotional service. And what is the best means, the most potent means of devotional service? What is the most potent means of devotional service?
Chanting.
Chanting. So when we have some confusion, we have some doubts, what should we do? Chant. And more chanting. And Krishna, because Arjuna is saying here, you yourself by your own internal potency. By Krishna's potency, one can know Krishna. That's it. So we invoke that potency by establishing a relationship with them. That relationship with them is established in devotional service. And the most potent means of devotional service is chanting. Now, Arjuna says something in 16. Someone wants to read just a translation of the verse?
Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. Purport. In this verse, it appears that Arjuna is already satisfied with this understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. By Krishna's grace, Arjuna has personal experience, intelligence and knowledge, and whatever else a person may have. And through all these agencies, he has understood Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For him, there is no doubt. Yet he is asking Krishna to explain his all-pervading nature. People in general and the impersonalists in particular concern themselves mainly with the all-pervading nature of the Supreme. So Arjuna is asking Krishna how he exists in his all-pervading aspect through his different energies. One should know that this is being asked by Arjuna on behalf of the common people.
So very important. Arjuna has already said, I accept everything you said is true. Right? He's already said. Then he goes on to say, Oh Purushottama, Oh Bhuta Bhavana, Oh Bhutesha, Oh Deva Deva, Oh Jagatpate. He's already established. So why he needs to know about how his opulences pervade. Krishna said, faith in my opulences, Ananya Bhakti. Arjuna, does he have faith already? Yes. So Prabhupada is explaining. Why is Arjuna asking to hear more about the opulences? For the common people. 6:17. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you? How shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? So Arjuna, again here, is asking on behalf of the common people. Because when we say Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has these wonderful opulences, they're not so easy to understand by the common folks who are not yet taking to the process of bhakti. But what inspires them is the greatness of all the creation around them. Right? They are in awe by supreme majestic things. So Arjuna is saying, Krishna, how can people see you within all the great things around? How are your opulences pervaded in the material creation? So that when we see something like the shining sun, we can understand that shine, that light, that nothing else can match. It is none other than this opulence of Krishna. When we see the tallest of mountains, that is the opulence of Krishna. So that one with our materially oriented mind can begin to appreciate the greatness of Krishna. So for the common, it's a very loving gesture by Arjuna. He's all says that, I'm good, done.
It's done.
But for all of us, he's asking Krishna, you explain how you are pervaded throughout this creation. Right? So this is why Arjuna, because he already established himself as having full faith. But for the common folk, he's asking this. Right?
So is it from a spiritual perspective or just from a physical manifestation perspective?
Well, that's an interesting question, because there is nothing that is the physical perspective, meaning all the matter we see around us. What is that?
That is Krishna. But
In the form of
Energy.
his energies, his inferior Shakti, his Apara Shakti, right? So, in one sense, everything around us we see is Krishna. But we don't see it, we don't perceive it. Right? So Arjuna is asking that how at least the great things, the significant things around us, how we can understand that to be the presence of Krishna's Shakti, his energy. But yes, actually factually he is present in everything. Because all of the material energies are none other than coming from him.
Every atom, Krishna is present.
Yeah, he's present within every atom. But his energies is Krishna. Right? So, that's what, and we're going to see, Krishna is going to say, I am I am Indra of the Lords. I am, the shining light of the sun. Like, he is not Indra, but the greatness of that is Krishna's opulence. That is and we'll talk about that next week. So 18, Arjuna says, O Janardana, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you. For the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. So there's a second reason, Arjuna. So the first reason Arjuna is now asking for the opulences is what? Yeah. And the second is? Krishna. Arjuna has said, I have understood everything. Maybe he's worried Krishna will wrap up the discussion. Right? So Arjuna wants to hear more. So, just like Parikshit Maharaj, in the beginning of the 10th canto, he asked Shukadev Goswami, because now he's getting to the pastimes of Krishna. And, many days have elapsed where Parikshit Maharaj is not asleep, not taking anything to drink, not even moved, just wrapped in attention. And he asks Shukadev Goswami, please explain to me in detail. He doesn't want Shukadev Goswami to gloss over, thinking, oh, maybe, my disciple is tired. So he says, no, detail. The pure devotee, the devotee never satiates, never tires of hearing. One of the measures of our progress in devotional service is how attracted are we to hearing the glories of Krishna. What is the intensity by which we want to hear? That is a good gauge of our progress in devotional service. So Arjuna has said here, I am never tired. These spiritual topics, sometimes we can understand, I've been coming Bhakti Vriksha so many years, I've heard Bhagavad Gita so many times. But actually this topic never ends. There's a bottomless, each time we hear, it's more and more revealing. As our heart purifies, we perceive this knowledge at a deeper and deeper level. And sometimes we wonder, okay, if I read 100 times, will I have it all? 1,000,000,000,000 times. It's never ending. One never gets fully, one always is anxious to hear. The material topics, how many times you can read the newspaper? Why they make it on thin paper? Because people can read it once and throw it out. What you can read, some movie. How many times you can watch some mundane movie? A few times. Forget. But these topics never end in sweetness. So Arjuna has explained that. Right? So now in 19, we'll stop there. Krishna is saying, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. So we'll discuss that next week, and we'll start to hear how Krishna describes some of his opulences. Yes?
How do you distinguish between Krishna and Maya? Like, my question is, in what attitude should we be in our mind so that we're not tempted or tricked by Maya and always remain gentle Krishna?
Our attitude should be begging to Krishna, don't let me fall to the temptation of your illusory energy. I am very weak and feeble. But in your shelter, I have hope. And that should be our attitude. Just respect the power of Maya and approach the shelter of Krishna. And in that way, we are always protected. Maya has no hope in the presence of Krishna. If we are in the presence of Krishna, we are safe. But as soon as we step out, whoosh, engulfed. It takes just a moment. Just a moment. Anyone who spends time in Vrindavan, they have this experience. You're in Vrindavan, and it is bliss beyond bliss. And then the last day comes, and you're in the taxi. And literally, as soon as you cross the border, it's like an avalanche. Like, I haven't thought about this nonsense in weeks. And you have not even gotten off the taxi. You still have rugs of dust all over you. You still smell like Vrindavan. Yes, as soon as you cross, boom. It's like that, right? So, but if we stay in the shelter of Krishna, Maya has she is only serving according to Krishna's plan. And Krishna is engaging Maya according to our desire. If we want to be bewildered, Krishna will bewilder. I was just speaking with one devotee this week, very sweet lady. This is amazing how Krishna works. Because if you want to be bewildered, Krishna will facilitate your hearing of things that will bewilder you. Two people can hear the same thing and draw completely different conclusions. Completely different. And this was the experience. There was one clip then, two completely different conclusions. How? Krishna is inspiring. Based on the desire. So if you want to know, you want to be safe, Krishna will protect us. But fortunately, Krishna knows our deep down desire. We may actually say, I don't want to be in Maya. But deep down, what is the desire in the heart? Krishna is seated in the core of the heart. And he is omniscient. He knows all. So, any other questions, comments? Yes?
How do you tell an outsider who's like, okay, well, this Bhagavad Gita is just like other Bhagavad Gitas, your Guru Maharaj has written his translation. How do you defeat that argument? I mean, I know Bhagavad Gita as it is, that's the title. But how do you defeat that argument?
Well, Srila Prabhupada said, he doesn't claim a monopoly on the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? So first things first. There are other bona fide versions of Bhagavad Gita, but they are very limited and very rare. And when he presented this, he said, why he is presenting another Bhagavad Gita? Because there was not an authorized translation being presented. Right? So Bhagavad Gita has this authenticity when it comes from parampara. Page 30. How many authors of a book write their lineage source back to the Supreme Lord. Many of the commentators said, this is my presentation of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada never said, this is my presentation of Bhagavad Gita. He said, as it is. Not as it is by Srila Prabhupada. He never said that. He said, this is as it is by Parampara. Right? So, if one is going to study, where is the evidence that this is coming in Parampara? And the proof is that the application of this knowledge has a transformation of the heart. Ultimately, how do I know that this plug is connected in an uninterrupted chain all the way back to the power station? How do I know? If I plug a lamp in there, it'll turn on. If it doesn't turn on, I know there's some break. There's a transformation of the bulb from dark to light. Similarly, if the Bhagavad Gita has potency by its application, there will be a transformation of the heart. Not just pious entertainment. Or some ulterior motive that's being presented. So, one must have factual conclusion that the Bhagavad Gita one is reading is coming into cyclic succession with no ulterior motives of presentation. And the proof we have, I've been asking me, why you study? Because one thing that struck me about Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is that, I had always this concept, and I think many of you must have the same consciousness, that we're all spirit souls. So it doesn't matter what color we are, what age we are, what race we are. If it's universal truth, it should apply. And the fact that around the world you see that these principles being applied, whether they're Russian, Chinese, African, Indian, American, European, doesn't matter. They're all being applied. That message must be pure. Its potency is shown in the results. Right? Somebody says Harvard University is a great university. What is the proof of the university being great? The results of its graduates and what they go on to do. Right? That is the proof. Ultimately. So what is the proof of the potency of the Bhagavad Gita? What's happening when people take to it and they start applying it? Are they acquiring the devotional principles? If so, then there must be some potency in that. So that's how we can present it. We don't necessarily have to establish it as, the exclusive source. There are other bona fide Bhagavad Gitas that are very rare to find. It is more common to find unbona fide, biased, not coming in parampara. Arjuna is already established. Only you can be Lord Brahma or the great demigods. And they cannot understand it without parampara. So what to speak of some mundane scholar? It's okay. Any other questions or discussions?
The sun and the moon, like Krishna described as Krishna's eyes.
No.
Or is that?
They're not, some way, colloquially it is. But,
Okay.
He says it'll be the splendor of the sun.
Okay.
Any other topics? Good discussion today. Thank you for your questions and commentary. So next week we'll discuss how Krishna begins to respond to Arjuna's inquiry, okay? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Advaita Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Shri Nitya Krishna Prabhu ki
Jai.